Happy Thursday, everyone. This is Laurie-Ann, and you are listening to Be in Demand. This is the podcast that is all about how to leverage public speaking events as your best form of marketing to showcase your expertise and why not monetize your story at the same time. Today, we have a speaker breakthrough session with my friend Jessica, or I'm calling her my friend, actually. We just met. She is an audience member who just raised her hand and said, I would love a speaker breakthrough session. And so this is live coaching, and Jessica is not necessarily, or any of these people are not necessarily my clients. But Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And she has her little man with her also.
Yes. We call him Minnie.
We call him Minnie. So if you hear a little one, that's who it is. It's our live audience.
Yes.
Jessica, what do you do?
So I am a knitting pattern designer, but I am also a coach for knitting pattern designers. And this year I'm transitioning to be a coach for creative mompreneurs in general. Uh, so I've primarily done business marketing coaching, but I'm very passionate about the whole circle of business life entrepreneurship so that it's balanced. So you don't feel like you're constantly overwhelmed, struggling to keep up with all of the things.
Mm.
So that's really kind of the direction that I'm heading right now.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And what would you like to get out of this coaching session?
So I'm trying to gain clarity on how to use speaking in a way that aligns with my life right now as a mompreneur with a very young toddler who wants to be involved in everything that I do, which can make live calls challenging, especially if they're video focused or, trying to feel more professional or, it's very touch and go on the little one's how he's feeling and if he's
Mm.
gonna nap or not nap or all of the things. And so it can feel really challenging to commit to anything live.
Right.
And so I'm trying to kind of figure out what are my options. Is it something that I need to let go of? Is it something where there's maybe more recorded sessions to do that I can do during nap times on my own time? That kind of stuff.
Okay. How old is he?
1 year. He just turned a year.
1 year. Okay. He's 1 year. Are there any others?
No, just the
Okay. So you just have one. Okay. You've probably heard me say on my podcast, speaking needs to be redefined and stages needs to be redefined,
Yes.
especially in your situation, because I talk about this a lot, that also business, like speaking needs to blend with your business and also your lifestyle.
Amen
And
to that.
this is a beautiful example of I've got this variable and he's only 1 years old. And it's unpredictable. So can you just hop on an airplane and travel across the country to go speak at a conference? Probably not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So do you have support?
I do have a partner, who also works from home, but works for corporate. Um, so yeah, the agreement is that I am and on my terms, I am the primary caretaker.
Okay.
And then we want to have evenings and weekends as family time and not have it constantly booked with calls for my business so that we have time together as well.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Which is important. So one thing that comes to mind, because you said, do I have to do more pre-recorded or, like, do I have to put the live stuff on the back burner? I think your live stuff, you're going to have to be very well organized. Like, it's not something you can spontaneously say yes to an event next week, even if it's just here, like right on Zoom. You are going to have to, like, if you know that you're speaking from 2 to 3 in October on the 5th, like to be able to like, hey, honey, can you like just make sure that can you take the afternoon off? Can you just like this hour? maybe he can be able to make some of those arrangements with his
Mhm.
schedule with a long enough runway. Otherwise, I would also say, are you in an area where you have some friends who you could maybe like share some babysitting?
I have one mom friend where we've just started talking about doing something like that.
Fantastic.
But we
Yeah.
do not have any family remotely close.
But having a friend, like, so that you can just turn to her and say, I got a speaking gig.
Yeah.
Now, it's in 3 weeks on this day at this time. Could I bring my little man over to you for just a couple of hours?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And that's something, yes, I'd kind of forgotten about that when I planned this call with you. But because it's going to need he's very much a mama's boy right now. We're gonna have to ease into it. But
okay.
hopefully we get to the point where that feels like a really valid option.
Okay. And so maybe that has to happen. The co-babysitting has to happen downstairs, like in your house. I don't know what your house is like. I'm just
Yep.
assuming it's an upstairs and a downstairs. Any of the assumptions that we make. But, so that he still feels safe in his own environment, but mommy is just someplace else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one thing. The other thing is like, yeah, you might only be able to do pre-recorded stuff.
Mhm.
But it is about building your personal brand because he's not going to be one forever.
It is.
Okay. But, like he's going to become like, he's going to get to that age where it's going to, like, it's going to be super easy for the babysitter to come and take him or,
Mm,
like for you to leave for an afternoon. But for
mhm,
you to be building your personal brand between now and then, I think would be very valuable.
mhm.
So, what's your favorite social media platform?
Instagram has always been my favorite, but I definitely have had a relationship with it lately. Um, it's not technically a social media platform, but Pinterest is the platform that I've been wanting to lean into more.
Okay, but I want you to use Instagram because you can do videos with stories.
Mhm.
You can take those stories and turn them into reels. I mean, there's lots of I think what you're focusing on, your specialty. Yeah, Pinterest is perfect, but I want you to build your brand. And here's the other thing about Instagram that a lot of people don't think of. A lot of the people who are booking speakers have assistants. Their assistants are in their 20s. Where do their assistants go to find speakers? Instagrams. So, I mean, like, I have gotten booked a number of times because an assistant found me
Mhm.
on Instagram.
Mhm.
And granted, this was, like, I think back when, like, hashtags were really big, and now we've got like, the AI is reading your posts, so it's a little bit easier that you don't necessarily have to be using hashtags, but by you talking about what you do is really gonna help you. And Instagram Stories is so easy, like, he takes a nap.
Yeah.
You quickly go and do a story, and you, like, to be able to have like, here are my 5 different tips that I'm gonna be sharing this week, the things that I'm gonna be talking about. And then you have a plan B for when he doesn't wanna take a nap.
Yes.
How does all this sound? Because I know I just did a lot of talking.
Yeah, it's good, and also when I am podcasting, it's easy to repurpose without content. I use a platform that automatically clips my podcast videos for me, so then it's really easy to repost it over to Instagram too.
And because I know people are gonna be like, "Which one is that?"
Opus Clip is what I use.
You're using Opus. Very nice. Very nice. I love them. They do a really nice job. Okay, so your podcast is another place that you should be talking about you speaking.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
so I guess I'm kinda curious what that looks like or sounds like like I'm very familiar with marketing a business in general, but when we're talking about speaking specifically, how do we talk about that in our marketing?
okay, I did an entire podcast on this, and I want you to listen to episode 309. It's actually a speaker circle. So it was this group mini training that I did talking about how to use your podcast to promote you as a speaker. And I think there's like 6 or 7 different tips that in different ways that I share with people, because most people who are hiring speakers, they may not have ever worked with professional speakers. This is, like one of the things that I have experienced. And when you're dealing with a bunch of volunteers for a conference, an organization, a meeting, we can't expect them to have ever worked with a professional speaker, you know. But one of the things that I always tell all of my people, you're included, Jessica, is that we want to act like pros. Mhm. And our job is also to share with people how we are as speakers, what it's like to work with us. So I've done behind the scenes episodes where I take everybody from the request to have me as a speaker to the pre-meeting, to the proposal, to the meeting that's a week before the event, to the event. And then I take people through like, what's the post process? Like, it's not just you show up for that hour and then that's it. Like, there is so much that goes into speaking. And I've done episodes on that. So that's something else that I want you to do as a special episode. And then I tell you how to, on this episode on 309, is how to use that episode and take clips of it, or even you can get the whole player from whoever your podcast host is and put it onto your website.
Yes.
So lots of different ways. So make sure that's part of your homework is to go listen to episode 309.
Perfect. Well, you just mentioned in there that, we want to show up as pros. And that's something that I think I've been kind of trying to figure out, teetering on, as a mom. There's this balance of showing up imperfectly as you can, showing people that we can do business no matter what stage of life we're in, and also showing up professionally. What do you think about that? Like, where's the balancing point on that? Or
Well,
speaking?
the balancing point is, I think, like when you do like an IG story, yep, you can have your little man like on your hip, maybe, or even like you're taking a walk in the park with the stroller, that can be like this is just my life. But you as the professional, you know, the professional speaker who is showing up because your job is to create an experience for the audience and also an experience for whoever booked you. Because you want them to feel like, just like, yep, she's got a little 1-year-old and she did so well because of what you did beforehand. I mean, and that's like great content that you could be sharing on your IG story. Like, hey, I'm speaking this afternoon. So here's what I'm doing with my little 1-year-old.
Yes. Yes. Perfect.
So you're sharing your real life. And at the same time, like you are serving somebody's audience.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say like I want you to show up like a pro, because I want you to create a beautiful experience for that audience. And I've also done some other episodes where it's like you have to be very intentional about the experience that you want for the audience and also for the person who booked you. Because we want them to say, oh my God, Jessica was so wonderful to work with. I have got to refer her to my friend. Or, like meeting planners know meeting planners and they talk. That's why when you're outstanding on the stage, that's what gets you rebooked because we want your audience remembering you, raving about you, referring you.
Yes. Yes. Um, it definitely helps a lot in showing up professionally on my podcast now that the little one is taking more consistent naps for a
Mm-hmm. Good.
longer amount of time because I can actually record a podcast episode without all of the interruptions. And so that definitely helps a lot too.
Great. And so I would imagine that you're also doing a lot of solo episodes.
Yeah, right now I'm doing exclusively solo because I'm struggling with the whole scheduling line call. Thanks.
Right. Right. You might want to listen to my Mother's Day and Father's Day episode that I did this year.
Mhm.
These are special compilations. So I had other people record and answer certain questions.
Yes.
So I've only done this for Mother's Day and Father's Day. and I really should come up with some other themes. I mean, it is a little bit of work.
Yeah.
You find people who are willing to answer the questions, give them a certain time frame to answer the question in. They have to submit everything, and then you are doing the editing of putting everything together. But that would be another great that's an idea to
Yeah.
have some guest episodes.
That's so true, and I've seen just recently some private podcasts where they'll record it on Voxer or a similar platform, and then they upload it like a
Yeah.
regular podcast episode.
Yeah. Yeah, there are ways that you can have some guest episodes, but it's about you getting creative, and what a great way for you to be showing people, like, "Here's another way to do this."
Yes. Okay, so I'm curious if because I'm used to having guests, like, I'm reaching out to guests.
Mhm.
I'm not used to putting myself out there as a guest. So, are there, like, spaces where I would be able to find other people who are doing something like that, where they are hosting guests that are asynchronous?
Yes. There are Facebook groups, first off. I think one of the Facebook groups that I'm involved in is "Be a Guest, Have a Guest." It's something under that idea. So that's one idea.
Mhm.
There are other platforms, like Podmatch, and those are you are gonna pay for a service
Mhm.
to be matched up. But I don't e I here's what I want you to do. I want you to put yourself out there. I
Yeah.
want you to pitch podcasts. Like, "Hey, here's what I speak on. Here's how I feel it could benefit your audience." Even if you've seen, like, like, one, you wanna do your homework. As a podcast host, you get all these terrible pitches.
And
Yeah.
they're getting worse and worse.
Yes. So, you and I, like, we need to do the opposite.
Yes.
Okay. So, share with people, like, "Hey, I looked through your podcast and I noticed," like, for me, I would be like, "I noticed, like, it's been, like, a year and a half since you had somebody talking about public speaking on your podcast."
Mm.
Or I've had people say, "I just recorded an episode." Well, here's a different take.
Mhm.
Like, I've always got something different.
Mhm.
And then after you are on that podcast, at the end, I want you to say, "I had such a wonderful time on your podcast. Can you refer me to, like, a couple of people who I can share my story and serve their audience?"
Mm.
Because one will turn into two, and those two will hopefully turn into another two each.
Yes.
And I mean, this is literally how I say, like, speaking snowballs. I also have a program that I created with Steve Gamlin called, like, How to Be a Great Guest. And we run you through our protocol and how to be the guest that people rave about and want to bring back. So that can be found I'll put the link down below, but it's beagreatguest.com. And we've had a lot of people go through that program and love it. So I just thought I'd throw that out there also.
Yes, that's great.
All right. You got any one more final question?
And not that I can think of. I think that really we talked about different options and just like different ways to frame it and I think maybe in my head I've made it into something bigger where it's like, all right, my partner and we've agreed like my business can't take over our personal life kind of thing. Like, calls and all of that stuff when it can't interrupt his work. He still has to do his work. But like I absolutely will book things out and he'll watch the little one and it's fine. And it's like being a guest doesn't have to take up the whole commitment. I think in my head I was making this thing like, all right, if I start committing, like, you know, it's gonna be too often or something like that. And that's just a matter of being intentional and organized and planned, like you said.
You've got that calendar on the wall. People like, I only do 2 podcast guests a month. I
Yes.
only speak once a month.
Yes.
There are ways for you to figure this out.
Mm.
But I also want to encourage you, Jessica, to make sure that you don't put you and your business on the back burner.
Yeah.
Okay? Because the only way that it's going to grow is if you put some intention behind it and
Mhm.
also be very strategic with it.
Yes, yes. I'm definitely thinking more and more about prioritizing some part-time care at some point in the next I don't know how long, but it's something up until, like, his age now, I hadn't even really considered it, but now I'm like, "Hmm, maybe this is something I at least wanna start thinking about in my head."
And school's gonna be starting soon, so maybe you can find a high school student, even
Mm,
just once a week for a couple
mm,
of hours after school.
mhm. Yeah.
Something for you to think about. Okay, here's the last part I forgot to tell you about before we hit record. So, Jessica, what's one or two gold nuggets that you're walking away with today?
I'm walking away with, like, it's okay to go ahead and just plan things out farther in the future. I don't have to just be available. Like, if somebody wants me next week, I don't have to say that I'm available next week. I can say, all right, I'm available in a month or whatever is actually works for me and works well. And then also, like, kind of just the aha moment that obviously there's Facebook groups and groups for absolutely everything out there. And there's other people who are doing what I do or doing what I want to be doing as far as time and energy, and whether it's people who have kids or people who have chronic illnesses, or there's so many of us out there in the business world that have different energy and time needs. And so it's just a matter of finding those people.
Yes. Yes, I love it. And you're gonna go listen to episode 309. That was part
Yeah.
of your homework also.
Yes.
Fantastic. Jessica, thank you so much. And would you share with my audience, where they can find you, learn from you, and follow you?
Absolutely. So my business coaching business is Full Circle Entrepreneurship. So fullcircleentrpreneurship.com is the website and the Instagram handle. My podcast is the Vibrant Artist Podcast.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And if you would like to book your very own speaker breakthrough sessions, stick around.